today or over the weekend, she put her rather elegant boot in a very deep and muddy puddle. This is a grade A disaster for the royal family.
Well, let's talk to the former BBC royal correspondent Michael Cole. Michael, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Carol.
Good to have
Well,
you
this,
with us. I mean, we know that Catherine has now apologised and said that she was experimenting with the editing. But do you think this row has been damaging for the royal family's reputation?
Now, here on Times Radio, you always like to be fair, so let us be fair. And let us just say, in the first 11 years of her marriage, uh, Catherine, now the Princess of Wales, has not put foot wrong. But today or over the weekend, she put her rather elegant boot in a very deep and muddy puddle. This is a grade A disaster for the royal family. Um, I'm not over egging this. It is the first time ever that the royal family, Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, has put out a fake photograph. Just think about that. Um, I'm afraid there's going to be questions about the long term credibility of the royal family every time a photograph is issued, which never ever happened in the past. It will be looked at scrupulously and with some skepticism. This is not a good idea. This is a very great and grave setback for the royal family at precisely the time they do not need bad or controversial news swirling around the pediments of Buckingham Palace.
Because even though the changes that were made were small, it is the point that the photograph itself was doctored to the extent that agencies actually pulled it. And of course, that in itself fueled all those conspiracy theories about how actually ill the Princess of Wales was, whether she was in fact much sicker than had been admitted. And of course, after she hadn't been seen in public for quite some time since her operation.
You've made the points brilliantly. Reuters and AP are the two most prestigious news agencies in the world, and I can say that because I used to work for their biggest rival, UPI. And the fact that they've pulled a royal photograph is big medicine. I spoke to the senior person of AP in this country, the bureau chief, and she said, for us, it does not matter what the manipulation is, only that it happened. And I'm quoting her there. That is what's happened. And that's why they pulled the photograph. I cannot imagine what Kate, Princess of Wales, was thinking about. It's naivety bordering on foolishness. And what were the people in Kensington Palace? Perhaps they were off for the weekend because this happened on Sunday. What were they thinking of, allowing her to put out a phony photograph to people who spend their whole lives every day looking at hundreds of images around the world, sorting out the fake images from the authentic ones to be published, the phony ones to be deleted pronto. This is important because this is an era of fake news. It's an era of artificial intelligence when famous people, their images are being doctored and events are being doctored. And when photographs are coming in from war zones, Gaza and Ukraine, and the warring parties are using images to get over their message and doctoring them if necessary, this is a very important thing. Now, of course, Windsor's a million miles from the battlefront, but the same principle applies. Integrity, truth, honesty, are not to be negotiated. And once truth is compromised, credibility goes with it.
Is
I
there a
hate to
wider point here, Michael, in that we always used to have official photographs taken by an agency photographer? You would have, as I'm sure you will well remember from your many years as a royal correspondent, sometimes there would be a pooling arrangement where there would be one photographer, one cameraman there on behalf of the media pack. But you would have an independent photographer taking the picture, not a handout from, in this case, the royal family, but we're seeing it in politics too, from the people themselves.
You're referring to the Royal Rota, and of course it worked very well for years. Everything was pooled. There was nothing exclusive. BBC, ITN, and the Press Association were given access, and the material they produced was pooled on a joint basis.
But the point is that the pictures were taken by independent photographers and camera crews, not provided by the palace.
Of course, but the Princess of Wales, perhaps because she wants to keep her family private, and she's been issuing photographs of her family for many years, for several years now, a lot of years. And of course, as I've joked in the past, putting royal photographers out of business. But in the past, of course, the royal family used Cecil Beaton for years. They used Anthony Armstrong-Jones, Lord Snowdon. They used Lord Lichfield, cousin of the Queen. They've used in-house photographers very effectively, but they've relied upon them, and agencies and everybody's relied upon them because nobody was doctoring the pictures. Now, what's happened here? How on earth the princess, well, I think she's learned her lesson. If she didn't know before, these photographs are put under tremendous scrutiny. People, of course, I'm afraid she's got form, because there was a Christmas photograph and people pointed out that it was a finger on Prince Louis's hand that was missing. Apparently, I haven't analysed it because I don't have those forensic skills. This photograph is replete with errors or inconsistencies in it. And why do that? I mean, it completely negates the purpose of this photograph. I've said on this channel, even with you, that what was needed to scotch the many cruel, unkind, and frankly ridiculous rumours that have been circulating about the princess's health, they should do something. I said that Kensington Palace should bring in accredited journalists and let them know what's going on. This photograph, if it had worked properly, would have been brilliant, because it would have answered all the questions without having to issue a press release or a health bulletin. As it so happens, it's now blown up in their faces, and it will make the cynics say, well, there we are. We can't trust them. What else are they getting up to?
And you've described this as a grade A disaster for the royal family. Do you think that there is a wider problem here for the royal family and their reputation? Since the death of the late Queen, we have the King, who started off going great guns, but of course he's receiving treatment for cancer. Catherine and indeed Prince William, because he's been caring for her, have not been carrying out as many public engagements as they would have done otherwise. And there is this sense in which the royal family are just simply not there as this trusted part of what was the British establishment. Do you think that there is a wider problem here about confidence in the royal family?
Well, I do think it's a very bad look at a very bad time for the royal family. Manipulating a photograph for public consumption, well, it's something you just can't do. If you're communicating with the public, you have to do so straightforwardly and with integrity, or else you're going to be found out pretty quickly. And that's what's happened here, pronto. I think it's not a trivial matter. I mean, here you had a very attractive family, a happy image, the children are smiling. Well, if there was a slight fault on the photograph and it was taken by their father, every family would understand that a father can make a mistake when taking a family photograph. Just stick it out there, put it out there, and just say, look, this is our happy snap leading up to Mother's Day. As it is now, that's turned into an inquest about it. And I really do think that people have got to answer questions. The princess has apologized, and I'm sure that all kind and understanding people will accept that. I'm quite sure she will remain a popular figure among the public. But who was actually helping them? Who was actually giving them any advice? And were they listening to the advice that they got?
And just briefly and finally, if you could, Michael, what lessons should they learn?
Well, it's a very, very simple lesson. Very simple lesson. If you want good PR, just live your life properly, run your place properly, look straightforwardly, be God-fearing, and let the truth shine through. Even on a cloudy day, it will do so. Integrity is all.
Michael Cole, former BBC royal correspondent, really good to speak to you. Thanks so much for joining us.